Hello again, guys. How's everybody doing? It is still Tuesday. It is still April 27th. I just had another video. Told you I had some important lessons that I missed out on in my goofiness, in my lack of sleep, in my whatever you want to call it, my lack of medicine, however it is. I am glad to be here with you today. I'm Cassie. Please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave me comments just to let YouTube know to recommend my videos a little bit more. I would appreciate that very much. I kind of am excited. I've learned to do something new, and I really wanted to work with it a little bit more and kind of get out there a little bit more. Maybe it'll help, maybe it won't. I don't know. We'll see. But I am Cassie, and I am here to let you know that depression is not permanent. That it is not. I do take medicine. I do want to tell you I do take medicine. So I'm not free of all medicines. I'm not free of any other way to go about it. But I do, I feel better about myself. I do have joy. I find that I'm learning things, that I'm not stuck in a rut so much. And I do this by the way of the Daily Stoic. And as you may have seen in my last video, this was created in 500 BC. It's a philosophy that the ancient Romans and Greeks went upon, where they believed that if they could control what was in their control pattern, and not so much worry about what is not in their control, yet be aware, so that they would know how to act better towards certain situations, probably not be outraged or not deal with madness. Maybe some things are just not worth the conflict. They're just not. They're not worth the battle. They're not worth saying anything about. People are just going to feel the way that they feel. Everybody feels the way that they feel. Nobody's trying to stop you from feeling the way that you feel. So you really can't stop other people from having their opinions or their thoughts or saying things coming out of their face. Some people really cannot control what they say. There are sometimes I get in that mood and I'm like, you know what, whatever rolls out of my tongue is probably what needs to be heard. And then there are times where I bite my tongue really, really hard so as to keep the peace and not have conflict. I do not like conflict. I do not enjoy conflict. I've had enough conflict in my life that I don't feel like I need to stir up more conflict. But I do go by the Daily Stoic. This is a book that I read a couple of years ago. However, from my very first compliment, I do want to say I was depressed from 15 to 20 years. And from my first compliment until right now, it has been 6 years. So it took me a long time. I'm a very stubborn. That is just my characteristic. That is just one of my flaws. One of my major flaws is that I'm very, very stubborn. When I want to do something, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to use all the willpower I have to do it. But if I'm set like in a way of depression and my mind thinks a certain way, well, that's just going to be the way I think. It's not wrong, right, or indifferent. I think it's wrong. I really think it's wrong because I could have done this a lot sooner. 15 to 20 years. Think about that. I was like really mad and depressed and angry and everything offended me and everything was a battle. Stupid stuff. I didn't, it was teetering on abuse. Not so much physical abuse, but some was physical. I won't go into that, but some was physical abuse. But most of it was a lot of mental abuses. Like everybody was walking on eggshells to come around me because they didn't know what to say and they didn't know what to feel. They didn't know what was good, or if they said their opinion, here I go, the crazy one, after them. Battling over certain words when they weren't my responsibility. I was my responsibility. So it was not fair for me to, and I know if you're depressed or suffering from sadness of any sort, you kind of understand what I'm talking about. Everything is offensive. Everything is personal. People say things just off the cuff and it's not even meant towards you. It could be meant towards something totally different. But here you are getting mad. These people don't even know you're mad at them. These people are not aware that you've taken something that they have said and are holding it against them or holding it against yourself, really. That this replays in your mind daily. These people are not aware. Trust me, they do not know. Okay. And I'm not saying that they don't care. I'm sure if you went to them and said, "Hey, that kind of hurt my feelings. I took offense to what you said," or whatever, they would kind of like try to fix the situation. But I'm sure what they said was innocent enough. They weren't. Nobody's coming after you because nobody knows you're sad until you tell them. How many people that you are actually talking to on a daily basis that know you're in a deep, dark sadness? None. None. Nobody knew. Not one person knew how sad I was. No one but me. And I kept it inside myself because nobody wanted to hear it. I could point out my grievances, but I could give out the symptoms, but I couldn't get to the root cause of it. I couldn't I couldn't explain to everybody what I was feeling all the time. All I could say was I was a depressed person. I do suffer from depression. Well, everybody suffers from depression, and that's how people feel. You'll get over it. It'll eventually pass. Nobody's going to know from day to day if you're suffering from depression until you keep bringing it up. And then you are the poisonous person. You are the toxic person that everybody's trying to get rid of. Just saying, been there, done that. Anyway, again, the Daily Stoic. I'm not a Stoic. I am not a philosopher by any means. But the way they have everything set up is that you are accountable for the things that you are in control of. And you are not accountable for the things that you are not in control of. And it just makes me more aware of where my mind needed to be all those years, all those days, all those moments that I lost, all those memories that I lost, all that time I spent being mad and angry and upset. I am now aware of where I could have just not really even just switched, that I could have learned to handle things better. And I didn't give myself that chance. I did not flip it. I did not. I did not give anybody. I did not give myself the benefit of the doubt. I did not. I just thought, okay, I'm depressed, and you hear that word from a doctor. We're gonna treat you for depression, and you're thinking, what? Your life is over. This is the end of it, and then your brain just stays there. It's like a stagnant state of mind. It's not really what you want to live, but it's how you're living now. I'm a depressed person. Depressed is my label. Label Smable. I didn't think that way either. I really just took my label and I ran with it. I let my label be who I am. And that's not what we do. That is not what we should do as people. We have lots of labels. We have mom, we have sister, we have aunts, we have cousin, we have doctor, lawyer, nurse practitioner. I mean, we have tons and tons and tons of labels. There are even other labels that we're not even going to go through. But we are so many labels, but what we are as people is how we conduct ourselves under strain. I was a depressed person. That was just what it was. I was a depressed person, period. Now I am a person. I am a person. I am me. I am Cassie. I am joyful. I am easy to get along with. I take what you say and I analyze it, but I don't try to react to it. If I do, I'm quiet and in the background, I'm trying to question, did they mean that? Was that towards me? Do they know I'm sad? Do they know what's going on? I try not to hold it against anybody, what they say. I try not to get offended so much by things that should be on a personal level. So that's all this is. So this is from yesterday. It says to prepare yourself for negativity. And here we go. When you first rise in the morning, tell yourself, I will encounter busybodies, ingrates, egomaniacs, liars, the jealous, and critics. They are all stricken with these afflictions because they don't know the difference between good and evil. Because I have understood the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, I know that these wrongdoers are still akin to me, and that none can do me harm or implicate my ugliness. Nor can I be angry at my relatives or hate them, for we are made for cooperation. And Marcus Aurelius said that in his meditations. Remember, Marcus Aurelius is the one that was writing notes to himself to keep in mind what he thought was good for him to remember in his Stoic journey. So here we go. You can be certain as clockwork that at some point today you're going to interact with someone who seems like a jerk, as we all have been. The question is, are you going to be ready for it? And this is what I mean by preparing for the things that you can't control. You always have to have like some sort of plan. How am I supposed to act when this happens? How am I supposed to act when this happens? So, are you ready? Have you thought about this? A jerk is coming your way. What do you do? Okay. The exercise calls to mind a joke from the 18th century writer and witticist Nicholas Chamfort, who remarked that if you swallow a toad every morning, you'll be fortified against anything else disgusting that might happen the rest of the day. Might it not be better to understand up front, right when you wake up, that other people often behave in selfish or ignorant ways, the toad, than it is to nibble it throughout the day? But there is a second part to this, just as there's a second half of Marcus's quote. No one can implicate me in ugliness, nor can I be angry at my relative or hate him. The point of this preparation is not to write off everyone in advance. It's that maybe because you are prepared for it, you'll be able to act with patience, forgiveness, and understanding. So there we are, that we have to know that we're going to come into some kind of negativity, but are we going to bring it down every day? There's going to be traffic. There's going to be bad weather. There's going to be people that really act like pains. We're not going into that one. That really, they will chisel at your characteristic. They will chisel, and it will seem like they're really trying to bring you down. You know, they're trying to get under you and trying to make you become what you once were. If you feel like you were depressed at one point and not at this point, you know, they're trying to get me in a bad mood. Really? You should have prepared yourself in the morning that people are going to be negative, but just hold up your head and know what you can control and what you can't control. And you can't control anybody else's actions. And when they come at you and say all these crazy things or try to get under your skin, they're really not trying to challenge your strength or anything. They're just being who they are. And you can be who you are by ignoring the situation, or by being the smart one and dealing with it patiently and without frustration and without outbursts and things like that. So it was also I remember it was a lot of my outbursts that caused a lot of, because I would have angry outbursts that caused a lot of strain in my marriage, in my family life, in everyday life, publicly. I remember one time my husband said, I don't trust you in public. Was I really that bad? Yeah, probably. Absolutely. Because like I said, everything was offensive and everything was personal and everything was ugly, and I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't deal with the creative criticism and creative whatever. I couldn't deal with any kind of negativity coming my way. It was for the birds. I wasn't handling it. And I took it all wrong, and so it was all that negativity surrounding me. I did work in a school with other teachers, and they also pointed out amongst themselves, they were trying to keep it all private, and I'm sure they wanted to help me to see that I was being a toxic person. They left it out for me to see, and I wish I had seen back then what they were seeing, but I was being because of my depression, because of my sadness, and because I took everything so personally, I took everything wrong. And I was a very toxic person. I did leave the school. I was not fit to be around a child anymore. I did leave. So there is that. But yeah, prepare yourself for the negativity. It's coming. It may not be coming from you, but it's coming. And you'll have to fight it off as best you can with your smartness with however you prepared yourself. If somebody says something bad, do you ignore it? Do you counteract it? Do you come back with it? Do you, I feel like just ignore it. Just, okay, they don't know what they're saying. They don't know you. They don't know you're sad. They don't know that you're fighting the fight of your life by being, sad and a very functioning person on top of that. They have no idea what you're going through. So, I'd just soon just ignore everybody if they have anything negative to say until, and then when things do come to a head and I've had enough, I've learned to just step back and think, what do I need to do? How do I need to think this through? I haven't worked yet with, I haven't worked in a couple of years, so I haven't been in a workplace yet where I've had to use this practice, again, I'm not a stoic, but these stoic exercises, I have not been able to use these in a workplace. I'm kind of anxious to find out what's going on and how I can handle that, but we'll deal with that later. Again, I am Cassie, and this is Cassie's Corner. I do have an email. It's Cassie's, no apostrophe, _corner at outlook.com. If you want to reach me personally, I do answer my emails there. Leave me a comment. I'd love to know where you're from. I'd love to know if you're suffering from any kind of personal affliction, of sadness, any kind of depression or anything like that. I don't like saying the S word. If that is on your mind, please listen to my videos and understand that you deserve to be here. You deserve everything that you desire, but you got to go and get it. Nobody's just going to give it to you and put it on a silver platter and throw it in your lap. You've got to go and get it. You've got to work for it. And that took me along. I thought if I was married and my husband loved me, he would fight for my happiness. Really? Would he? Would he really just let his own self go when he's not even responsible for my happiness? I'm responsible for my happiness. Would he set aside his life? He didn't. Absolutely not. And I'm glad he didn't, because it let me know that I'm the only person responsible for me. I'm the only person responsible for my happiness. He had no business doing the things that I had asked him to do. And I did ask him to do some serious, there were a couple of things that I do feel like he should have done, but for the most part, he didn't do. And I'm glad he didn't, because he didn't step out of his character at all. I do hope that you have a nice day and that you will have the rest of the wonderful, wonderful work week. It seems so pretty outside. I think I want to go sit outside for a little bit, and I will see y'all next time. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.